If you believe you've heard everything there is to know about this harrowing tale, think again. New and shocking developments have surfaced regarding the murders of two young women, their bodies callously discarded in suitcases. The man now in custody is a former police officer from West Allis, a revelation that adds a chilling layer to this already disturbing narrative. In early June 2014, on Como Road in Geneva, Wisconsin, highway workers were busy cutting grass by the roadside. As they toiled under the warm sun, one worker stumbled upon something unusual, a pair of suitcases, one vibrant purple and the other a somber black. If you believe you've heard everything about this case, prepare for more shocking revelations. New and disturbing developments have emerged in the tragic murders of two young women discovered discarded in suitcases. Authorities have just revealed that the man now in custody is a former police officer from West Allis. Both bodies bore the unmistakable signs of decomposition, indicating that they had been deceased for an extended period. The horror of the discovery sent shockwaves through the community, prompting authorities to seal off the area immediately. A massive investigation was swiftly launched. Detective Jeffrey Ragnargel reached out to his superior, urgently explaining the dire situation. The area surrounding the gruesome find needed to be cordoned off, while the entire investigative team prepared to scour the vicinity for any evidence. The district attorney, Mike Gravely, felt a chill of dread wash over him as he considered the implications. His first thought was that this could be the work of a serial killer. The question loomed: were there potentially more bodies hidden in the shadows? An alert was dispatched across the Midwest, detailing the discovery of two bodies and the desperate need for identification. The suitcases had appeared to be abandoned, yet the scene was far from ordinary. A swarm of flies buzzed ominously around them, and a putrid stench hung heavily in the air. Walworth County Sheriff Detective Jeffrey Ragnargel arrived on the scene, his heart racing as he prepared to unzip the purple suitcase. The response from law enforcement agencies was overwhelming. Numerous names of missing persons flooded in, each one a potential lead in the search for the identities of the two women. Officers worked tirelessly, sifting through the names, hoping to uncover a breakthrough in the case. Meanwhile, crime scene examiners meticulously inspected the rope used to bind the women, searching for vital clues or a DNA profile. Within just 24 hours, the woman found in the black suitcase was identified due to her distinctive tattoos. She was Laura Simonson, a 37-year-old mother from Farmington, Minnesota. Reported missing by her family on November 22, 2013, her case had sent investigators on a desperate search through motels and hotels across Wisconsin and Minnesota, hoping she had checked in somewhere, which could lead them to their first major break. Detective Sergeant Lee Hollitz was assigned to her case. Reflecting on Laura, Detective Sergeant Hollitz remarked, "I always saw her as vulnerable due to mental health issues, drug use, and other factors. Don't get me wrong, Laura was a nice lady, no doubt about it." With a sense of determination, he began tracking her last known movements. In a grim discovery, as he investigated further, it became evident that inside one of the suitcases lay the body of a woman, wrapped tightly in a black garbage bag. The gruesome scene revealed a second body within the black suitcase. One body showed signs of advanced decomposition, her hands bound behind her back with rope, while the other lay naked, a collar and rope cruelly constricting her neck. Meanwhile, employees at the Microtel Inn and Suites in Rochester, Minnesota came forward, claiming they recognized Laura from the appeals and alerts. They recalled a woman who had been smoking in her room. Hotel records confirmed her stay for 2 nights, on November 2nd and 3rd. Laura had checked in under her own name, but she was not alone. Security footage revealed that a man accompanied her during her stay. This man had paid for the room in cash and refused to sign in, marking him as the only guest to have done so during that period. The following day, he was captured on CCTV leaving the hotel alone, wheeling a trolley filled with bags and cases. Yet, Laura was conspicuously absent from the footage, raising alarm bells. By mid-January, just months after her disappearance, Detective Sergeant Hollitz received a critical tip that Laura was likely with Stephen Zellick. Detective Sergeant Lee Hollitz reached out to the West Allis Police Department, requesting a check on Stephen Zellick's apartment. Laura Simonson was nowhere to be found. Several weeks later, the FBI and the Wisconsin Division of Criminal Investigation made their way to Stephen's residence after he failed to respond to a letter from Hollitz. While Holitz remained tight-lipped about the specifics of their conversation, he indicated that Stephen Zellick quickly became the primary suspect. Stephen claimed he had been with Laura at the motel in Rochester, but insisted they had parted ways soon after. Stephen maintained that Laura was perfectly fine and claimed he had neither seen nor spoken to her since their last encounter. He vehemently denied having any sexual relationship with her. However, just weeks before Laura's body was found, a shocking post appeared on a classified ad website branding him a sadist. The post accused Stephen Mark Zellick of enslaving a petite woman named Laura Jean Simonson, alleging that he kept her naked, handcuffed, shackled, and caged, with no intention of ever releasing her. It painted a harrowing picture of her suffering, exacerbated by various mental disabilities. A chilling message surfaced, warning that Laura had been subjected to horrific treatment by Stephen Zellick since November 2, 2013. The message revealed that Laura, a mother of 7 young children, had been forbidden by Stephen from contacting them, leaving her fate uncertain. The post urged the public to join the effort to find and rescue Laura Simonson, encouraging relentless harassment of Stephen through calls and emails, demanding answers regarding her whereabouts. The troubling message also disclosed Stephen's phone number and email address, concluding with a warning about his online presence. He openly discussed his treatment of women on a website called Kalami, under the profile name Mr. Handcuffs. The identity of the poster remained unknown, but the alarming tone of the message intensified concerns, especially now that Laura's body had been discovered. Disturbingly, it also mentioned another woman, referred to only as Jane Doe. The unidentified woman, known only as Jane Doe, was estimated to be between 15 and 35 years old, standing between 5 feet 2 inches and 5 feet 4 inches tall, and weighing between 120 and 140 pounds. She bore an overbite, had 2 piercings in each ear, and a small heart tattoo gracing her lower left pelvic area. In a desperate attempt to uncover her identity, police released a sketch, hoping someone might recognize her. As the investigation unfolded, friends and family of Jenny Gamez, who lived in Oregon, began to realize the tragic truth. All they needed were dental records to confirm her identity, alongside documentation from a foster parent that would definitively identify her. 19-year-old Jenny was a college student hailing from Cottage Grove, Oregon. Described as a free spirit, she was known for her radiant smile and bubbly personality. Her friend Sonia recalled Jenny as a devoted mother. Yet, Jenny had faced heart-wrenching challenges, having lost custody of her son. Tammy Scott, a counselor at Harold High School, had worked closely with Jenny, who had struggled to navigate the turbulent waters of various foster homes in Lane County. Jenny had likely hoped to find someone who could offer her love, perhaps leading her to be deceived. Her friends and foster family had not reported her missing, mistakenly believing she had simply fallen out of touch. After leaving Oregon, her contact with her mother dwindled, and her father was often unavailable, residing outside the country. Despite these difficulties, she graduated with honors from an alternative high school and secured a scholarship to the community college she attended. Those who knew her during her time in foster care remarked on her unwavering positive outlook and resilience. Meanwhile, the police were left to piece together the circumstances surrounding her death, just as they needed to with Laura Simonson. Laura had confided in a friend about her plans to travel to Wisconsin. This friend relayed vital information to the police, including Laura's passwords and login details for various online platforms. One particular website caught their attention, a site frequented by individuals interested in BDSM, where both Laura and Jenny had interacted with the same man. In one alarming exchange, Laura had ominously noted that if he ever were to kill her, nobody would ever find her. This chilling revelation set off alarm bells for investigators. The man's email address was traced back to an apartment in West Allis, where he was soon placed under surveillance. As police tracked his vehicle, they were poised to confront him upon his arrival home from work. He denied ever having met Laura in person. However, he consented to provide a DNA sample, claiming a long-standing interest in BDSM that began at the age of 19. His profile on the website revealed a disturbing desire for a long-term, permanent relationship, seeking a 24/7 slave for absolute ownership and domination. In a chilling revelation, Stephen Zellick depicted his dark desires, seeking a slave who would willingly submit to a life of captivity and dehumanization. He expressed a disturbing satisfaction in the thought of a slave tightly gagged, blindfolded, hooded, chained or caged, each scenario marking a grotesque level of control. His digital world also held secrets yet to be uncovered. The imagery he conjured, a slave led by a collar and leash, adorned with wrist and ankle manacles, symbolized total enslavement for someone who was conditioned to surrender their needs and desires to another's will. However, his computer, a machine he believed he had sanitized, concealed a digital footprint of his interactions with Laura Simonson. Unbeknownst to him, his efforts to erase his digital traces were futile. He had installed software designed to clean his computer regularly, executing this operation tens of thousands of times. Yet Laura's device had left behind an undeniable digital trail of their conversations. Moreover, hotel security footage captured the same man, but authorities needed more than a face on a screen. They required tangible evidence linking him to the women and their tragic ends. The breakthrough came with the discovery of DNA on the rope used to bind Jenny Gamez, a match that would change everything. The DNA matched Stephen Zellick, a 52-year-old man who had previously been questioned about Laura Simonson's disappearance. His apartment in West Allis and his profile on a BDSM website painted a disturbing picture of his life. With the DNA evidence in hand, authorities swiftly obtained a warrant to search his apartment. What they uncovered was unsettling. Cleaning products and bleach stood out in stark contrast to the filth that surrounded them, raising immediate suspicions. Among the items in one of the suitcases were an array of sex toys and bondage equipment, alongside an authentic police badge. The badge was a chilling reminder that Stephen Zellick was a former police officer. Detectives clad in hazmat suits meticulously removed evidence bags from his apartment, including items found near his refrigerator. Stephen Zellick had served in the West Allis Police Department from February 1989 until his resignation in August 2001. The internal investigation into his conduct revealed a pattern of troubling behavior. He had stalked women while on duty, exploiting his position to access their personal information. His history of harassment included disturbing accounts from sex workers and dancers at local strip clubs. One dancer recounted how he pursued her with relentless fervor, asking her out on dates nearly 1,000 times over the span of 8 years. Others testified that he would pull them over under the guise of authority, only to ask for their company. Zellick's obsession reached a fever pitch when he fixated on a hairdresser at a nearby salon. He would block her car, desperate to ask her out, or lie in wait for her in alleyways. Despite her insistence that she was in a committed relationship and had a young child, Stephen's disregard for her boundaries was clear. During his tenure as a police officer, 10 disciplinary actions were lodged against Stephen Zellick. These actions included serious allegations of using confidential police records to locate women's addresses and intimidating them. An audio recording captured his unsettling conversation with the police chief, where the weight of these accusations hung heavily in the air. The police chief's voice was steady, yet laced with concern as he confronted Zellick. He asked, "Do you think it's proper for an officer in uniform to approach a woman and continually ask her for lunch?" In a chilling response, Zellick dismissed the gravity of the situation. He claimed, "My behavior was never bad. I was very casual. Have you ever passed on your business card? Do you give a citizen your own phone number?" The chief, maintaining his authority, replied, "Yes, as chief and as an administrator for many years, I do call business owners." Zellick pressed on, questioning the chief's motives. "Are you referring to the complaints about the squad being in the area too often? Do you know why she called?" The chief noted the unusual nature of the complaints and recounted a specific incident from May 2001, where a dancer from a strip club alleged that Zellick had offered her $300 for a private show. In a disturbing twist, she agreed to go back to his place after hearing what she believed was the sound of handcuffs being removed. What followed was a harrowing encounter. The dancer tried to escape, claiming Zellick slammed her to the ground and choked her. In a desperate bid for her life, she fled, banging on her neighbor's door and crying out that he intended to kill her. Zellick, however, insisted that she had attempted to steal from him. Despite the gravity of the allegations, no charges were filed against him. Ironically, the woman was arrested on a prostitution warrant shortly thereafter. Zellick resigned from the police department, a move that allowed him to evade any repercussions or disciplinary measures. This resignation also enabled him to pass the state background checks essential for obtaining a private security officer's license. His former roommate, Jamie, who had once shared a romantic relationship with him, later revealed a chilling discovery in his basement. Among the unsettling items, she found a large wire crate and various bondage tools. Jamie would later recount how Zellick confessed to her that he had kept a woman in a cage as a slave for 7 years while serving as a police officer. This shocking revelation instilled a deep sense of fear in Jamie for her own safety and that of her children. Driven by terror, she arranged to leave her life behind, waiting until Zellick went to work before packing up and departing in a U-Haul. In January, coinciding with the investigation into Laura Simonson's disappearance, Zellick made a chilling post on an online forum. He expressed his desire to find an owner, be it male, female, or a couple. He wrote, "I seek no limit, no release. Enslavement, imprisonment, captivity, animalization. Ideally in a farm or caged situation. If this level of control interests you, please feel free to make contact." A woman responded with disbelief, asking, "Are you serious?" Zellick, undeterred, replied in the early hours of the following day, "Yes, I'm extremely serious. If you know of an owner who desires this level, please let me know." This was Stephen Zellick, the former West Allis police officer, now 52 years old, entangled in a web of dark desires and unsettling realities. An unusual sight greeted the residents of West Allis, a Walworth County crime scene van parked prominently on busy Lincoln Avenue. Witnesses reported a rapid response from police, who arrived at the apartment armed with guns, shields, and a battering ram, ready to confront the horrors within. Authorities approached the apartment complex with haste, approximately 7 officers present. On June 25th, shortly after 8 in the morning, Walworth County officials arrived in West Allis, breaching Stephen's unit with a battering ram, ready to uncover the truth behind the chilling reports. That evening, former police officer Stephen Zellick found himself behind bars. He was booked into the Walworth County Jail, facing 2 counts of hiding a corpse. Michelle Fiore reported on this shocking development. Once known as a former police officer turned security guard, Stephen Zellick's reputation took a dark turn. He was now charged with the murders of 2 women he had met online, but not through typical dating sites like Match.com. Investigators uncovered 3 online profiles linked to him. One of these profiles appeared in a Yahoo group named Master B Slave Club. The chilling details revealed he sought a long-term slave, someone who understood, needed, and craved control. This reality starkly contrasted with his role as a security guard. Zellick had been employed by Securitas since 2007. A former security guard who spoke off the record described him as competent, often working extensive overtime. Yet he noted something unsettling about Zellick's demeanor. Zellick rarely mentioned his personal life, and when he did speak, it was with an unusual caution, as though he meticulously crafted each word before uttering it. Securitas provided a statement indicating no extraordinary incidents marred his work history, affirming he maintained a satisfactory record. Neighbors in his quiet apartment complex expressed disbelief. Nothing had seemed amiss in his behavior. On the day he disposed of the bodies, Zellick was in communication with a woman named Petra, according to District Attorney Mike Gravely. In an online exchange that day, Zellick ominously stated his desire for her to be in absolute captivity, suggesting plans to dehumanize her. Disturbing revelations about the former West Allis police officer emerged, painting him as a man capable of unimaginable violence. The details continued to unravel, with Zellick's chilling words echoing in the minds of those following the case. A hefty document, spanning 648 pages, detailed everything from Zellick's application to his resignation letter, revealing numerous complaints that painted a complex picture of his career. Stephen Zellick began his career with West Allis in 1989, following a 5-year tenure with the Milwaukee Police Department. His personnel file, released by 12 News, initially painted him as a model officer, a stark contrast to the man he would become. In annual reports, Stephen Zellick was depicted as respectful, confident, and honest. Residents wrote handwritten letters, praising him for being kind and sympathetic during his time on duty. As the 1990s gave way to the new millennium, a disturbing transformation began to unfold in the life of Stephen Zellick. Allegations surfaced from several women who claimed that while on duty, he had stalked and harassed them, often pushing the boundaries by repeatedly asking them out on dates. Among the accusers were women who worked as dancers in strip clubs. Under the guise of conducting business checks, Zellick would linger, watching them perform. One woman, overwhelmed with fear, reported her experience to the West Allis police, prompting them to take action. The police monitored Zelik closely, observing his routine stops. One woman, who would later suffer a harrowing encounter with him in 2001, recounted her ordeal. In a chilling moment, she described how he overpowered her, wrestling her to the ground. During the assault, she recalled his chilling words. He threatened her life, declaring, "I'm going to kill you." Desperate, she pleaded for him to stop, but he insisted that she had stolen money, justifying his violent grip on her. In an attempt to recover the alleged stolen money, Zelik stated he needed to act quickly. He admitted to grabbing her by the throat and neck, but the woman managed to break free, escaping into the streets, where the West Allis Police Department was just a stone's throw away. Following this incident, Zelik was suspended and monitored for 20 days, yet he evaded any criminal charges. This pattern of troubling behavior raised significant red flags. It's crucial to recognize that while many engage in BDSM safely, with consent and clear boundaries, Zelik's actions starkly contrasted these principles. The absence of safety words and mutual consent in his interactions painted a grim picture. As investigators delved deeper into his past, the question loomed large. What had transpired between Zelik and the two women who would ultimately lose their lives? The prosecution revealed a chilling connection. Stephen first encountered Jenny Gamez online through a bondage website when she was merely 16 and living in foster care. Their communication dwindled after 6 months, only to reignite when she turned 18. Once again, their paths crossed through the same site. Court records indicated that he invited Jenny to Wisconsin, a proposition she accepted in August 2012, planning to live with him. Under his influence, Jenny erased her social media accounts and severed ties with friends and family. She purchased a one-way ticket to Milwaukee, telling her loved ones she was going to study welding. Zelik was waiting for her at the airport. They made their way to a hotel in Kenosha, situated near Highway 50 and I-94. Their stay at the Comfort Inn and Suites lasted a few days. During this time, Zelik admitted to engaging in acts of breath play, controlling and asphyxiating her. He recounted instances where he had restrained and blindfolded her, ultimately losing control and choking her. His attorney later claimed that after Jenny's tragic death, in a panic, he placed her body into a suitcase and returned it to his apartment, setting off a chain of events that would shock the community. In a chilling revelation, it was discovered that Stephen Zelik had stored the decaying body of Laura Simonson in his refrigerator for over a year. As the stench of decomposition seeped into his home, the fridge door began to open, forcing him to seal it shut with tape. Investigators later reported that Zelik had confessed to killing a woman in Kenosha. Yet, detectives faced a daunting challenge, determining whether the death was technically classified as murder. Reports emerged that Stephen Zelik admitted his involvement in the death of 19-year-old Jenny Gamez. Our coverage continues as the investigation unfolds. Following his arrest, Zelik confessed to the murder of Jenny Gamez in Kenosha, revealing the tragic fate of the young woman. However, Kenosha police indicated that they needed to gather more evidence before they could file formal murder charges against him. When detectives approached those close to Jenny, disbelief washed over them as they learned of her fate. Hailing from a small town in southwest Oregon, Jenny had informed her family of her plans to move in late 2012, a decision that ultimately delayed their report of her disappearance. Jenny was known for her big heart and good intentions. Yet when investigators questioned Zelik about her, he seemed detached, unable to remember even her name. Mike Gravely, the district attorney, noted this unsettling detail, highlighting Zelik's callousness. Jenny's remains lay in his refrigerator until Zelik brought Laura Simonson's body home. He placed both bodies in suitcases, stashing them in the trunk of his car. As the weather warmed, the stench intensified, prompting his boss at the security firm to confront him. His boss informed him that complaints had surfaced regarding a foul odor emanating from his trunk, resembling that of a dead body. It was a pressing issue that Zelik needed to address immediately. Court records revealed that his connection with Laura began online. The two had arranged to meet at Micro Talent Suites in Rochester, Minnesota. Zelik urged Laura to erase her social media presence, sell her vehicle, and ignore her parking fines. He even claimed to the police that she had died. In a strikingly similar manner to Jenny's tragic end, he described her death as the result of a choking game gone wrong. This left two women discarded in a hauntingly similar fashion. Laura was discovered naked, a grim testament to her fate. One victim was found with a ball lodged in her mouth, having been assaulted with a collar. The second victim, also an adult female, was discovered wrapped in a plastic garbage bag, her hands bound tightly behind her back. The lead investigator meticulously detailed the gruesome elements of Zellick's alleged actions. He recounted how one day, Zellick made the chilling decision to dispose of the bodies, driving them into Walworth County. He then cast the 2 suitcases into a ditch where they would remain hidden. The bodies belonged to Laura Simonson and Jenny Gamez. Police revealed that Zellick had initially met both women online before their tragic encounters, although none of these meetings took place in Walworth County. A judge later ruled that Zellick would only stand trial for the events occurring there. The charges specifically related to the concealment of the bodies in a ditch off Como Road in Geneva. The evidence suggested that these remains were hidden with the intent to cover up a crime. Even while in handcuffs, Zellick continued to strategize with his legal team, preparing to contest the charges against him. Como Road, nestled near the Geneva police station, became a focal point of scrutiny. The evidence presented failed to establish, even marginally, that Stephen Zellick had concealed the suitcases in question. The prosecutor painted a chilling portrait of a man who preyed on vulnerable, at-risk women. In stark contrast, Zellick's public defender argued that the tragic deaths were mere accidents, insisting that his client had not made any attempts to hide or cover up a crime. The defense claimed that the suitcases had been left in plain sight, seemingly inviting discovery. As the proceedings unfolded, Stephen appeared in court via video link from the confines of Walworth County Jail. He faced arraignment on 2 counts of hiding a corpse, with bail set at an astonishing $1 million. His attorney requested a significantly lower bail of $50,000, asserting that Stephen was a university graduate with deep ties to the community. However, the judge sided with the prosecution, deeming a higher bail necessary to ensure public safety. In light of the defendant's own description of events, the judge recognized the substantial risk of flight, warranting a high cash bond before any resolution could be reached. Throughout the proceedings, Stephen Zellick remained eerily silent. His argument of accidental deaths was met with skepticism from the judge. Judge Philip Koss posed a haunting question. If no crime had occurred, why hadn't 911 been called immediately? At this stage, charges against him consisted solely of 2 counts of hiding a corpse, but the narrative was poised to shift dramatically. On August 5th, the charges escalated. Stephen Zellick was now facing first-degree intentional homicide in connection with the death of Jenny Gamez, a crime so heinous it defied comprehension. Kenosha County Circuit Judge Bruce Schroeder clarified that since Laura Simonson had died in Minnesota, the charges regarding her case would be filed there. The proceedings would be on hold until the outcome of the ongoing court actions. Kenosha County District Attorney Robert Zapp highlighted the pivotal role Laura's death played in the investigation, as Stephen had quickly emerged as a suspect in her disappearance. Security camera footage captured the unsettling moment they checked into a hotel together. Zapp made the decisive move to charge Stephen, convinced that these deaths were not mere accidents or the result of reckless encounters. While some might label the killing of 2 women over a span of 15 months as accidental, Zapp firmly classified it as murder. Laura's family described her as a vulnerable adult grappling with mental health challenges. Her father recounted a painful history, revealing that Laura had once posted escort advertisements on Craigslist and that her children had been placed in his care back in 2010. Tragically, one of her daughters, Alyssa, who had disabilities, passed away in June 2013 at the tender age of 13. In the wake of tragedy, Laura's daughter, Kaylee, took to the internet, creating a fundraising website to seek donations for her mother, who is struggling to cope with the loss of her sister.
"My mother is homeless, her car is breaking down, and her car is the only shelter she has," Kaylee lamented, revealing the harsh reality they faced.
Despite her heartfelt appeal, no funds were raised. By autumn, Laura found herself living with her mother, Mary, in Farmingdale. On November 2nd, Laura left their home, excited to meet her online friend for the first time, Stephen Zellick. Little did anyone know, in just 20 days, their lives would be irrevocably changed. As concern grew, Laura was reported missing. Prosecutors soon revealed their chilling theory. They believed Stephen Zellick had intentionally targeted individuals who could vanish with little suspicion, weaving a web of deceit around his victims. Zellick's sinister tactics included erasing his victims' online presences and severing their ties with the outside world. District Attorney Mike Gravely highlighted how Zellick's background as a former police officer equipped him with the skills to plan and execute his crimes with disturbing precision. The prosecution had intended to present evidence illustrating that Zellick's confession was calculated, revealing only what investigators were already aware of. However, just as the trial regarding Jenny's death was set to commence, news broke that a plea deal had been reached. In a shocking turn of events, Stephen Zellick stunned even his own attorneys by pleading guilty to the murder of 19-year-old Jenny Gamez from Cottage Grove, Oregon. The unexpected plea shifted the course of the trial, leaving many to wonder about the reasons behind his sudden change of heart. The first victim's body was discovered in a suitcase along a Wisconsin highway in Walworth County back in 2014. For reasons known only to him, Stephen Zellick chose not to let the trial proceed, a decision that left many questioning the depths of his motivations and the horror of his actions. Just as jury selection loomed, Stephen Zellick shocked everyone by entering a guilty plea. Prosecutors were caught off guard, but they quickly emphasized that this plea did not mean he would ever walk free again. At 54 years old, Zellick now faced a staggering 75 years behind bars, and the prosecution was determined to seek the maximum sentence. The prosecutor made it clear that Zellick's natural life should now be spent in custody. Held in the Kenosha County Jail, he awaited his sentencing scheduled for the end of March. Stephen Zellick, having pleaded guilty to first-degree reckless homicide, had his fate sealed. He faced serious charges, including the use of a dangerous weapon and the concealment of a corpse. The prosecution aimed for the full 75-year sentence, a far cry from the life without parole he had initially faced. A plea deal altered the trajectory of his case. The prosecutors were aware of the deeply troubling behavior exhibited by Zellick, and this plea was deemed the most effective way to ensure he would never end anyone else's life. With a somber tone, the prosecutor revealed that Stephen had agreed to plead guilty to the lesser charge of first-degree reckless homicide, which involved the use of a dangerous weapon, a rope in this chilling case. In a significant moment for the victims' families, the prosecution announced that it would dismiss the optional charge of first-degree intentional homicide. Stephen Zellick was ultimately sentenced to 35 years in prison, with an additional 10 years of extended supervision. He would also serve 5 years concurrently due to the charge of hiding a corpse. Throughout the sentencing proceedings, Stephen Zellick remained largely emotionless. However, he did manage to offer an apology, describing the victim, Jenny Gamez, as a good person. The state painted Zellick as a predator, one who preys on society's most vulnerable individuals. Zellick has consistently claimed that Jenny's death was accidental. In a chilling assertion, he stated, "If there is anything I could undo, that would be the most important thing I would do. It was not an intentional act." The prosecutor, however, expressed satisfaction with the sentence handed down. The prosecutor emphasized the importance of ensuring that Stephen Zellick would not re-enter the community until he reached an age where he would no longer pose a danger. In a passionate plea, defense attorney Jonathan Smith urged the judge not to consider Laura Simonson's death, arguing that it occurred after the charges related to Jenny's case. He insisted that Zellick had yet to take real responsibility for his predatory behavior. The judge, however, disagreed. He made it clear that Laura's death would indeed factor into his considerations. "The monstrous nature of this crime becomes most evident in the willingness to take the same risk with another human being," he remarked, adding that, in cases like these, it is often the loved ones who suffer the most. The courtroom was filled with friends and family, yet Jenny's case was markedly different. An unnamed sister listened in silence via telephone, offering no remarks. Yet, as the proceedings unfolded, it became evident that the implications of this case extended beyond Jenny Gamez. The death of Laura Simonson loomed heavily over the proceedings. Now 55 years old, Stephen Zellick pleaded guilty to the second-degree murder of 37-year-old Laura Simonson. He received a 25-year prison sentence. While the judge acknowledged Zellick's cooperation, the severity of his actions warranted a significant punishment. The decision was made that he deserved the maximum sentence for his crimes. Judge Pamela King struggled to hold back tears as she addressed him directly, stating, "Mr. Zellick, human life is not something to be played with. Laura Simonson was loved and valued by those who called her mom, daughter, sister, and friend. You will remain in prison long enough that no other woman will be harmed by your actions," she declared. Some of Laura's family expressed disappointment that he did not receive the maximum sentence of 40 years, with her daughter branding him a monster. As he languishes in a cell, her daughter hoped that he might finally comprehend the pain and suffering he has inflicted on so many lives. She noted that his lawyer claimed he felt deep remorse, and that his guilty plea was intended to spare Laura's family further trauma. Zellick's sentence in Minnesota will follow his completion of time in Wisconsin. As these sentences are consecutive, it became clear that Stephen Zellick would never be released from prison. As the episode draws to a close, the weight of the tragedy feels unbearable. The suffering endured by Laura Simonson and Jenny Gamez resonates deeply. Both women were devoted mothers, and the heartbreak left in the wake of their untimely deaths is a sorrow too profound to fathom. Their stories are riddled with pain, and the knowledge that a monster lurked in the shadows, preying upon their vulnerabilities, is chilling. Laura's sister, Nikki, expressed the torment of loss, revealing, "My mother aches for the daughter she lost. She constantly wonders, what if I did this, or what if I did that? Would that have saved Laura from this monster?" While nothing can bring Laura and Jenny back, the conviction that their families will find some peace knowing this monster can never harm another woman again offers a glimmer of solace. In a poignant college essay, Jenny reflected on her struggles, stating, "Nothing in my life has been easy. Nothing has ever been given to me." She dreamed of becoming a social worker, aiming to make a difference for children within the foster care system. "I want to make a difference in the world, and I'm still not sure how I'm going to do that," she penned, capturing the essence of her hopeful spirit. We extend our heartfelt gratitude to our viewers and patrons, inviting you to join our community on Patreon. Your support is invaluable to us as a channel, and we are deeply appreciative of anyone who chooses to contribute. In return, you'll gain access to behind-the-scenes content, additional episodes, and early ad-free viewing.